Good afternoon, South Africa. Welcome to Afternoon Express. I'm Bonnie Mbuli.
And I'm Jeannie D.
I'm already very emotional today because on the show we'll be discussing a very important and pertinent issue in South Africa at the moment, and that is the issue of child abuse. Now, studies show that 1 in every 3 young South Africans will at some stage be sexually abused in their lives. Now let those numbers sink in, because what that actually means is that even myself as a parent or anyone close to me has to be aware of the fact that we will know somebody whose child has been sexually abused.
Yeah.
And today in The Loft we have filmmaker Lucy Witts released a documentary called Dragan's Lair.
Now, the documentary deals with how she herself was abused by her stepfather. And what makes it even more powerful is that he agreed to appear on the documentary as well. Then we are joined by Edith, who is from Jelly Beans. And this is an organization that deals with children who have suffered from trauma or abuse, and they provide resources and a little bit of hope for them.
Yes, and we would absolutely love for you to join in the conversation and share your thoughts with us.
Yeah.
And our social media question that we're asking today is how can you protect yourself and your children from predators?
All right, and then in the kitchen, Danilo and Clem are standing by.
Indeed, and what's so special about today's show is there's also a chance for you to call in live and to share your stories with us on the number 021-430-9881 and really engage in this conversation with us. We're going to try and be as real and open and honest as we can on the show, and I hope that you at home will be able to do the same thing with us. On a lighter note, on the show today, obviously on Monday was the big episode of Tropicana Island of Treasure Seychelles, Team Unger, where the winners were announced that sort of like 2 weeks ago, and then the whole reunion happened after Monday's episode. So we'll be sitting down, him and his winning partner from Tropicana Island of Treasure from the Seychelles. I cannot wait to have that conversation with them. And I thought with all of these good topics that need to be spoken about on the show today, let's get some of the kitchen and cooking out of the way in the meantime. Clem is making these amazing burgers on the show today. And if you're one of those people who really struggles to take in all the information on how to make recipes that we do on Afternoon Express, the easiest way to get all the details is to SMS the keyword burger to 33650. It'll cost you R1.50 and those free SMSs don't apply. So it is kind of middle of the week. Let's get started with some food.
Right, so this burger is quite dear and close to my heart. Also because if you have too many of these, you'll probably stop your heart. This is the whole farm burger. Why? Can you guess why?
I'm trying to guess why. I'm seeing a little bit of beef there, but I'm not too sure. Okay. Is this pork?
That's pork.
Now I'm getting where we're going.
Okay, cool. So exactly. Okay. So what I've done is I started off with my burgers, and a lot of people ask like how I like preparing my burgers, and the honest truth is as simple as possible. Salt and pepper. No breadcrumbs, no eggs. I don't know, how do you make yours?
Oh, a simple burger, just basic patties, lots of rockets. Avo is a must. A delicious bit of cheese, like a nice layer of my favorite kind of cheese, whether it be blue or not, or maybe just try something with brie and like a brie and something sweet.
I like it experimental because this burger is very experimental. Cool. So, like I said, salt and pepper in with your mince. That's going to start cooking a little bit of olive oil, get a nice crust in it. I like cooking my burgers for about 4 minutes aside. Okay. And my new thing actually is squishing my burgers down. So literally grab your tongs, you kind of like squish it down, creating more surface area.
So they don't become balls.
Yeah, and you kind of, the greater the surface area, the more crust you get on your burger. You know what I like to say?
The crust is a must.
Exactly, especially with this.
Do you keep your, because I always find that my burgers burn on the outside and then are very like red in the middle. So how do you prevent that?
Burgers should not be cooked on a very, very high heat. It's a big, think of a burger as a steak. It's a thick piece of meat. So medium heat is all you need to cook right through. And you still want to have a little bit of that pink, but still a medium heat, not high.
Gotcha.
Cool. So that's busy doing its thing. And I've got some beautiful burger patties that I cooked up earlier. Look at them.
We need many, because obviously we need to feed everybody in the loft today. So we're going to have many of these patties.
Cool. So these are done. I'm going to pop these right over here. Let me put it back where they came from, right over there. Cool. So now we're going to start with the other hero of this burger.
Okay. How many heroes are there in this story?
Well, quite a lot. Quite a lot. So I've got this guy for you, which is a beautiful, beautiful, easy to cook Woolies ice pine. This guy.
Delicious.
And it was so easy to prepare. Literally, it comes in the container already. Just have to glaze it and into the oven.
Yummy.
I like that you're smiling like that.
I'm very excited. Please cut me a little sneaky slice now, because Jeannie and I just flew back from Joburg, flying around the country now.
There we go.
Hungry along the way.
Ooh, I was like a little boy.
Perfection.
Is it
Wow.
good? You like it?
I was
like a little boy sitting outside the oven just watching it glaze all day. I was smiling the whole time. So it's got a beautiful, beautiful fig glaze on it. It's so intense, isn't
Delicious,
it? So beautiful, and it's smoked. You want that smoky flavor. So there's no bacon on this guy, because this is kind of going to be our bacon. Are you happy?
Very, very happy, Clem. The more meat, the merrier.
Cool. So I think that's enough for one portion. I think so.
Let's make one burger patty so we can see what it's going to look like as like a completed product. Because I know you've got some sides to prepare for us later on, which is going to be yum too.
Sure. So I've got this amazing pasta sauce. And olive pasta sauce, why would you use it in a burger?
Oh, good question.
This burger is intense in umami.
Okay.
And so is this olive sauce. So it's basically also an umami bomb. So using the sauce, let's get that going on there. I'm going to ask you to add some, I'll add the lettuce. You can go with tomato.
Cool.
So that goes down first. Cool. On goes some lettuce.
I'm actually going to steal these because I like to use these. Not
Do you?
To use mine.
Okay, cool.
There's
Done.
some tomato.
A little salt.
A little bit of pepper.
So now we're going to start with our tongs. Let's go first with a beautiful piece of ice pine.
Yummy. And then so goes our patty on top of that too. The more ice pine, the better.
You would think that this is the patty's turn, but no.
Oh, no.
I got some beautiful, easy to cook pulled pork. So Dad, you can do the honors. There's a little bit on there.
Cool, a little bit of pulled pork on top. This wasn't a little bit, but you know me, I don't know how to do anything in small size.
This burger is amazing. If you did not buy your dad a Father's Day gift, okay, you need to go and make him one of these. He'll be so happy.
I hope you at home are also thinking about making burgers for dinner. These are looking so delicious.
Okay, now we're going to go on with our burger patty. A little bit of smoky burger mayo. Yeah?
Yum, Clem. There's too many flavors on here.
What does that mean, too many flavors?
Decadent. Make it your own, I guess.
What is this funny word, things that you're saying to me? Top it like that, and of course...
A little pickle on top with the thing.
And
yummy, yummy, yummy.
Ooh.
All right, so I hope that you're starting to get hungry with us on Afternoon Express. I'm going to wait. I promise I'm going to wait to eat that burger with you at home. Later on in the show, we'll be showing you how to make all the sides for our incredible burgers that Clem's got for us today. After the break, we sit down the winners of Tropicana Island of Treasure Seychelles, Anga. Team Anga. Don't go anywhere.
Tropica Slender is giving away a taste of paradise. To enter the competition, buy a Tropica Slender and complete the daily story with your own twist ending on the Tropica Facebook, Instagram pages or on Twitter when you follow at MyTropica with #SlenderTwist. You could be the weekly winner of a beach hamper or LG DVD player and be entered into the grand prize draw for a trip for two to Seychelles, courtesy of Air Seychelles and the Savoy Resort and Spa. T's and C's and details are on tropica.coza.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express on SABC3 on this Wednesday afternoon. If you've been watching SABC3 every Monday for the past 3 months, we followed the journey of 7 teams competing on the Tropicana Island of Treasure, Seychelles. After a nail-biting finale, Team Anga walked away as the winners of that R1 million treasure. Let's take a quick look at that winning moment.
Welcome to Tropicana Island of Treasure, Seychelles, the grand finale.
This is it. This is the moment of truth.
Go!
I know that this isn't going to be easy. But it's broken. Calm down. Calm down. Woo. Wave really knocked us. I'm still trying to recover from it. I don't know whether we're going to find this bottle or not. It's driving us mad. Oh, Ida! Found it. We realized that Team C are already like 6 minutes ahead of us. Oh. Bongs inserts the last piece, and we realized that we're done. Yeah! Wow! Yeah!
Man, guys, what an absolutely huge moment for both of you. Welcome to our loft.
Yes, thanks for having us.
I know this is nothing like the island, but let's be honest, with R5 million in each of your pockets, you guys must be smiling from ear to ear. What an incredible season. Tell us about those moments. I mean, let's just flood back all of those memories of that finale, that really important last challenge.
Yo, the last challenge, I mean, we had to dig deep.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy at all. I think there was a time where we actually thought it's done. You know, we might as well just pack our bags and stop swimming, literally, and go home. But again, I mean, the fighting spirit in us just kept us going, and we're like pushing more and pushing further. And before we know it, we're actually on the boat, finishing the challenge first.
Crazy. I think what was important was just not to give up. There were plenty of moments where we thought that, oh, you know what, because we could see Team Civ far ahead. You know, but I think what was important was finishing with dignity. You know, at least being able to say at the end of it that we gave it our best. You know, and these were and those were the benefits of not giving up. We got there and they were nowhere near finishing their puzzle. We figured it out sooner than they did, and we won. So that's the. I mean, it sounds cliche, but that's actually the power of not giving up. It's crazy.
Yeah, maybe cliche, but I think what it does is sharing a really important message with South Africans. I mean, you guys were the underdogs a lot of the way throughout the journeys. You guys, I don't think you won any of the challenges.
The entire way,
No. And yet end up winning their massive, huge grand prize.
And
who cares if you win?
We were, and like you said, this is a great lesson for people out there, because we were laughed at. You know, we were plotted against.
Everything.
No one had any faith in us, but we came out victorious. So this is a huge lesson. I mean, it's not only about the show, but just generally for kids out there and people out there that
and just stay focused, basically. Because I mean, the goal, basically, we said from the beginning, we want to win the million. That was the main goal. We didn't worry much about the other challenges. I mean, especially with the bounties. Whenever we will lose and not get any bounty, to us it was like, okay, cool. There's always a comeback, which is going to be the elimination.
We just don't come last.
Yeah. That's a good strategy to have.
Just don't come last.
Well, I love both of you. Got a very cool energy about both of you. Similar mindset, similar viewpoints on these things. So let's take a quick moment to look back at how you guys met and what drew you two together.
Bongs, nice to meet you, man. Nice to meet you too. As my teammate, would you try and out-compete me?
As a teammate, and you as my teammate, on days like this where I feel like I'm really lacking, I'll rely heavily on you. So that's why I'm saying I need you, you also need me. That's how we're going to work.
Bongs. What's up, man? Okay, Bongs, so the reason I'm actually here is to let you know that I've selected you to be my partner on Tropicana Island of Treasure, Seychelles.
Yo, no way, man.
Thank you. Are you for real?
Yep. The joy in both of your eyes, but also thank goodness you didn't drop that weight on your head.
Yeah, I mean, he almost killed me. I mean, I was so excited. Firstly, I was shocked to see him in my gym because I'm like, wait, I know everyone who gyms here, and what are you doing here? Because this is my space. And then, boom, he delivered the good news. I was like, what?
But there were so many contestants to choose from. Why did you guys choose each other? What was it about, Bongs, that you were like, yes, this is my guy?
Yeah, I mean, it's covered in that interview. We just, I mean, I get along with everyone, so everyone that I interviewed that day I got along with. But there was just something about Bongs that I felt, you know. Yes, I won't lie no, I won't lie and say it's not his physique. His physique. I mean, I looked at him and I thought to myself, he's obviously a hard worker. I'm a person that used to gym a lot back in the day, and I know that in order for you to look this good, there's some kind of mindset and dedication that you have to put up front, you know. So I definitely did choose him because of that. But also, he was telling me that he's good at figuring things out, and I felt like he was the perfect match for me, you know.
Let's talk about the other contestants on the show, because I mean, obviously, part of this is mind strategy, it's physical torture, all the stuff you're having to go through to really win that grand prize. And a lot of the other teams loved you too. Some of them got a bit tense at some times, but they were giving you bounties and they were handing things over to you guys, and were really treating you guys like they loved you. What was your relationship truly like with the other team members?
Wow, I don't know which Tropicana Island of Jersey you were watching.
Definitely not.
To be honest with you, we only won 2 bounties throughout the competition.
Yeah.
Yes, the first one we were given to by the team that believed in us. The only one, which was Team Colleen. And the second bounty we got as a result of Zaki and them feeling bad that they gave us. So those are the only 2 bounties we got. One of them being genuine, and then one of them I think that they were just feeling bad.
Price,
to be honest with you, like we said, we were the underdogs. No one supported us. No one was rooting for us. No one wanted us to stay, and we stayed agaga all the odds.
Actually, you know? Some of them, they were actually saying that you guys are next.
You know what I mean?
You know,
so
no, in your face.
One genuine team out of 5 that were out of 6 that were supporting us.
What you guys should just do is just send them a little a check for like 1,000 rand. Like go for a massage or something. Whatever you need to.
I think I'll 1 rand is enough.
Listen, the big grand prize is yours. Congratulations.
Thank you
it
so
must be
much.
such an exciting journey. I personally loved watching your energy on that show. Just cool, calm and collected, and you know, obviously slow and steady wins that race. I mean, any massive highlights that you're going to take with you for the rest of your life?
From experience? Well, definitely being at the Seychelles. It's an absolutely amazing place. And every day after the challenges, I mean, we had really intense challenges, and what better place to recover than the Seychelles, you know? We had a great hotel, we had great food, and we had a lot of good moments after the challenges as well. So those were good. And you know, as much as the challenges were dreadful, I'll never forget those challenges. I mean, they're the ones that they're the reason we're here today. You know?
I think for me, it's just like being obviously on the island. I've never been on the island before. And then basically working with a complete stranger. I don't want to lie to people. The challenges were not easy. And actually having to form a formidable team with someone that you're not familiar with, it actually takes a lot. And you grow so quickly as a person because you have to learn so many things at a very short period of time. You need to learn how to be tolerant, how to be patient, how to respect the next person, and basically to still compete under all that. It takes so much from you. It takes so much. You need to really, really dig deep.
I'd also like to take so much from you. Money. That's what I want to take from you guys. Congratulations to both of you. I mean, your lives are going to never be the same again after this journey. So continue to do great work, both of you in your careers as you leave this journey. And keep inspiring other young people to fight the hard fight, because there will be that one challenge that you'll win that will win you the million.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome, guys. We're going to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back. A warm welcome back to Afternoon Express live on SABC3. So if you've just tuned into the show, we're tackling a very important issue of child abuse on the show today. And we'll be continuing and starting that conversation a little bit later on. And we also need to finish off our recipe that we're making. We've created these burgers that Clem has created for us on the show today. And all that's left is to do the sides. And so besides normal green beans, today Clem's going to be showing us how to make tempura green beans, which should be yum. So should we get it done?
Absolutely. So I've got these amazing green beans over here, and I've got these sexy green beans over here.
Okay. Why are they sexy?
Because they're fine.
Oh, I get it. Fine beans.
I'm going to put you to work. Cool.
Cool.
Knife. I want you just to top them for me.
Cool. That's just to remove all of the woody bits.
Just the woody bits, because you can eat the end tails, but the woody bits I feel like need to come off.
Cool.
So you can do that. You can start with
just two of them?
No, you can do more than two.
Oh, okay. Just wondering. Just wondering.
So there you go. So I've also got some tempura flour in this bowl over here. What I want to do is just give the green beans a dusting in the tempura flour. That helps the tempura batter stick to it. Cool. So while you're busy with that, you're going to top and just coat it for me. Done. I'll start on the tempura batter.
Go for it. I can do that for you.
Super easy. It's going to be tempura flour, which you can buy in Woolies.
And is that different to normal kind of flour?
Yes, it is.
What is it made out of? That's so
it's got corn flour in there, and that's the main part of the batter.
Oh, the crunch.
And it gives you that crunch, exactly. It doesn't go brown, so a lot of people tend to cook their tempura till it goes brown. That means that whatever's inside the tempura batter is dead already.
Yeah, does something wrong.
So please just remember, your tempura batter is not going to go brown.
And also, the big question I've always had about tempura, I always thought it was like a breadcrumb kind of version, but it's actually not. So tempura is actually a flour.
It's a flour which is turned into a batter. I've got some white sesame seeds. You can absolutely use black sesame seeds, which I think is more traditional.
Cool.
I like the white ones because I feel like they go a little nuttier.
Nice, when they toast off.
Exactly, they toast in the oil. So that's perfect. That's what we've got. A little bit of cold water, very important.
In fact, I should do like a thing and make like a smoke thing. It didn't work out for us very well.
Totally. You're not wearing an apron. Yeah. So you're looking for a pancake batter, a nice thick pancake batter, and this is the one time that the lumps are good.
Oh, really? So those are the little crunchy bits in the end.
Exactly. So if you can see, we've got a beautiful texture. I haven't added all the flour into it. That's fine. That's going to add to the texture of the finished product.
Okay.
So cool, that's looking amazing.
So rustic is good.
That's looking cool. So do you know how you test your oil to see if it's done?
Yes, you drop a little bit of flour, and if it frizzles and pops, it's ready. So it frizzles and pops, it's ready.
There we go. And that's fizzling nicely. It's not too aggressive. That's perfectly fine. So I've got a method of how I do my tempura. Because some people just tend to dip and then chuck a whole lot in. One thing that happens immediately is you drop in the temperature of your oil. You're not going to deep fry.
Not a good
idea.
idea.
Which is what you want.
Cool.
So a little bit of patience, but it works. Gives you a good result. You dip your green beans into the batter, and then you lay it into the oil and drop it away from yourself.
Okay, so it doesn't splash back at you. I mean, I've seen a lot of people do these in restaurants where they also do these with courgettes as well. Like,
absolutely.
What's the other name for courgette? I keep forgetting.
Baby marrows.
Baby marrow. There we go.
So my idea with this is, burgers need fries.
Yeah.
So being a little different, the burger's so extravagant already, I'm going to try and incorporate a green somehow. Yes, I'm going to deep fry it, but this is how I take on a fry. So this is not a burger you're going to have every day or every week.
Guilt-free fries is what you're trying to create.
Yeah.
They're kind of guilty, but they're still not as guilty because they got a green in there.
Absolutely. So that's going to go now.
It's one thing that your mother always says, make sure you eat your greens. This is one way to prove her wrong,
Well.
So eat your greens. Okay.
Let me deep fry it. So once it hits the oil, it's going to start firming up immediately. Like I said, it's not going to turn brown. If it's turned brown, it means you've overcooked it. Tempura is about the texture, not so much about the color. So it stays white. So don't get alarmed if you see that.
Fantastic.
So you want it to sit. It's going to start. You kind of move it around.
Oh my word! Wow, I see. It's already solidified almost. It creates like these little crunch bits on top. Now I just want it to brown.
And the crunch bits is what's most important, because look at that. All that snaggly little bits on the end. They go so amazingly crunchy and delicious. So all we're going to do is, once you start coming to the surface, you know it's basically done. Give it a little quick turn over, and believe it or not, they're done.
Oh, yummy. These are so cool. And like you were saying earlier on, so if you just tuned in, we've made these delicious burgers. Now we're just creating the sides for them. We're making these tempura beans, green beans that we've got. And I mean, you can put anything inside this tempura batter, it sounds like. You can put courgette in there. Anything that's a soft vegetable that's fine enough to be able to cook in the oil.
Exactly. Even little tiny little strips of carrot work so well with this. Absolutely.
All right, so there are your burgers and there are your tempura sides. Simple like that. And if you want to get the details for this recipe, you can SMS the keyword burger to 33650. It'll cost you R1.50 and those free SMSs don't apply. apply. All the details from the link to the recipe, shopping list, etc. will all be sent to your mobile device, as simple as that. And if you just tuned in, here's a quick recap.
Now we are turning our attention elsewhere and to an issue that is rife across the world, and especially in South Africa. As we said at the top of the show, 1 in 3 young South Africans will experience sexual abuse in some form.
And today we share the story of Lucy Witts, who's directed a documentary called Dragan's Lair, which tells the story of how she was sexually abused for 10 years by her stepfather. If at any point during the show you'd like to share your story or words of encouragement, then feel free to call us live on 021 430 9881.
Welcome to The Loft, Lucy. Thank you so much for coming to share your story.
Thank you for having me.
Now let's start at the beginning. Dragan, so aptly named, I'm sure, was your stepfather. At what age were you when he came into your life, and how would you describe the relationship that you guys had?
Dragan became my mother's boyfriend when I was 2. At the time, we were living in Johannesburg, and he became my #1 person very quickly. My mum and biological father had divorced relatively recently, and he piggybacked on that lack of father figure, for want of a better description. And he was a very engaging man, so we had a very good relationship.
Yeah. Before the abuse actually began, there was a period of sexual grooming. Can you describe to us what that looked like and what that actually means?
And what is sexual grooming? Yeah.
Well, sexual grooming is actually abuse within itself. It's a form of psychological abuse. And how that works is, you know, before you can engage in a sexual relationship with a child, you need to get that child ready for that kind of environment and that kind of relationship. And to the capacity where they're not going to necessarily talk about it outside of the relationship, but yet not creating it into a secret, because secrets are there to be told, right?
Yeah.
So it's normalizing. It's normalizing sexual behavior, and it's normalizing a specific type of behavior in order to reach an ultimate means.
So what would it look like? Like, what would he do?
Like? Yeah.
Sorry.
Whoa, questions. Okay, so how would that look? It wouldn't look obvious, unfortunately. So it would be things like he would be my best friend. He would become my go-to person. So he would replace my mother, I suppose, in that role. You know, he would bath me. He would make sure supper was there. He would, you know, be my friend, I think is the right way to put it. Extremely nurturing and loving and, you know, the kind of person, the exact kind of person that a child wants to be with. Fun, play games.
Absolutely.
You know, nothing that would make anybody go, oh, that looks dodgy.
And by sexual grooming and normalizing it, could it perhaps mean that other people in your family don't take notice of it either? We've got a little clip from your documentary here.
He had a great relationship with you. You know, it was like warm, fun, laughy, playful. I put it down to the fact that I was working, you know, long hours, and Dragan was at home all the time.
Do you recall the very first time that it began, when he touched you, how he touched you, and what went through your mind?
I remember him meeting me. I don't remember when the sexuality of the relationship, when it became a sexual dynamic. I can't pinpoint that quite simply because so I would have been encouraged to run around in the house, as a lot of children are, in my knickers or, you know, without being completely fully clothed. Yeah. And he'd grab me on my way past and plop me on my lap and give me a quick rub down and a, you know, rustle
and that's
up.
normal in a family.
Normal behaviour. But then it develops from there. And then there's a quick brush of a sort of sensitive part and, you know, eventually it normalises and it becomes more natural. You know, turning it into sort of more direct, specific sexual behaviour would have been when mum wasn't necessarily there, but also when she was, you know, so that for me it becomes normal and safe.
Right.
You know?
So at any stage it never occurred to you that maybe you would tell your mom or that you needed to tell your mom?
Or that anything was wrong.
Yeah. Well, what's there to tell?
Yeah.
I mean, you only tell when something's out of the normal or, you know, something extraordinary or something different.
So then at what point did you realise something's not right? This isn't cool?
I didn't. The truth is I only knew that it wasn't cool after the secret had come out and after he'd been removed from my life as a teenager. Really? Because that happened, you know, when people started saying, oh, that must have been such an awful experience and oh, what a terrible thing to happen. When the truth had been that my experience of it in the moment, because it had been such a long progression, it wasn't a bad experience. It was a loving expression.
It was your norm.
Yeah, it was.
So then how did it all come out?
My mum had gone to visit some family members in Johannesburg. We were living in Namibia at the time. And a family friend who had suspicions that something different was happening in our home encouraged my mum that she would look after us while my mum was away. And she questioned my sister after I'd gone to bed at night. And my sister eventually came out with the reality of the situation.
And how old were you at that point?
I was 12 and my sister was just before she turned 16.
And I watched the documentary on the weekend, and prior to that, he had already been doing it to your sister.
Well, what I don't divulge in the documentary, because, you know, it's such a big story, so I had to be quite clear about, you know, how I would package it, is that when he met, I mentioned earlier that my mother and father had recently divorced, and my sister and my brother had actually gone to live with my biological father. So my sister wasn't living with me through those early years. So if I could sort of lay it out, I was 2 when my mum and Dragan met. When I was 9 and Sophie was 13, she came to live with us from my biological father. Okay. So she left my father and moved in with us. So Dragan started sexually assaulting her when she was 13.
And then obviously she hadn't been nurtured and groomed throughout the years, so it was easier for her to go, this isn't right. And
she was 13, so she knew. Yeah. So she, you know, her sense of right and wrong was very different. And I think there was a lot more violence or a lot less nurturing or grooming involved, A, because of the time, and B, because she entered into a very perfectly groomed environment. Yeah. So, you know, he'd been grooming us for 7 or 8 years by then, and for her, I think it had to be slightly more of an initiation by fire. Now, when you start grooming a 2-year-old child, by the time you start being sexual with them at the age of, in my case, I think if I remember correctly, it was 6, the child is familiar already with that.
You trust the person.
Yes, but it's as normal a relationship as we have puddings on Sundays.
Exactly.
You know, it's normal. I don't know how else to put it. But Sophie, being 13 and being a teenager already, had a sense of that this is just not right. And she'd also had her first experiences of a crush on a boy. So those hormones had already started kicking in for her.
Exactly.
You know, but Dragan...
So she would know that she was violated at that point.
Yes. Yeah.
You were so tremendously brave, and actually I think this documentary is going to help so many other children and other people, I suppose, to have the confidence to speak up. Thank you so much. We're going to unpack more in a little break, after a little while.
The conversation is going to continue. 021 430 9881. That's the number you guys can call into the show live today to share your messages of encouragement or any other comments you'd like to make. Our phone lines are open. We'll return with more of this conversation after these.
Sea Harvest. New look, same great taste.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. As promised before the break, we're back on the couch with Lucy Witts, documentary filmmaker of The Dragan's Lair. Now, I still can't believe he agreed to be on the documentary. And I think what was most unnerving for me was watching it and seeing him take no responsibility. For some parts, I felt like he actually was putting it on you. It was... He was just so matter-of-fact.
No accountability.
About how it happened. And when you asked him, you said, did you ever love me? And he said, I love you, but not sexually anymore. And it was so easy for him to say that.
How did you get him to be on the documentary?
Okay. It's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to simplify as far as I can. I believe that my journey with Dragan is twofold.
Yeah.
I believe that we have a life journey, this journey that we've walked together where we've shared these experiences. And with that comes a legal journey.
Yeah.
And I try to keep the two separate. Because to me they are separate.
Yeah.
So Dragan is currently following his own legal journey with another 4 young girls who he may or may not have, still to be decided by the judge, molested. And they're currently, as we speak, actually, today in court. So I went to Swakopmund to show my solidarity with those girls. And I appeared in court, which I think was a bit of a shock. I agreed to meet with him for coffee afterwards, or at least I asked him to. And I said to him that I believed that karmically, for want of a better word, I don't want to buff it off quite so simply, but we have a journey that we need to close. And we need to take a very negative and a very destructive relationship, and we have to turn it into something positive in order for me to close that cycle so that I don't actually have to revisit it. And I believe that because of the number of girls that he has allegedly abused, he owes it to so many.
Yeah. But when you phoned him and you said, I want you to be in this documentary...
I didn't phone him because then he would have said no.
Okay.
I sat in front of him after I had just shocked him in court by arriving. He'd never seen me since I was 12.
Yeah.
And I sat there and I said, meet me for coffee. I said, let's do this. And he said, okay. I said, how about tomorrow? So I didn't really give him an opportunity to pull out.
Because he was so honest.
Yeah.
Yes, but you see, you said an interesting thing. You said, I felt like he was making it your fault. Well, I'm very pleased that you felt that because he was making it my fault.
Yeah.
It wasn't felt like it was. That was a fact. And the reason is because it's very, very symptomatic. It's very much one of those things. Pedophiles do not see themselves as responsible for their behaviour at all. Very hard for us to understand or maybe wrap our heads around, but the reality is, in their minds, it is 100% complicit, and it is a mutually beneficial relationship. In his mind, honestly, that is how it is.
Yeah.
And if
it's
I
so
had
evident in the way that he speaks. We actually have a clip of him that we can take a look at.
Nothing that was wrong, because I did not force you to do anything. And I did not make you cry, and I did not make you uncomfortable or bad. You always smiled, and you seemed to enjoy it, even maybe that you may be faking it, but you were at least not showing any discomfort if I was expressing my sexual desires towards you. And you were always responsive. And then from there on, it was just unraveling and rolling on towards that direction, which was unexpected for me. I did not think I was going to be on that train, but I got onto that train, and that's how it went. And just keep on rolling and steaming, cuckoo.
And how did it feel to be on that train?
No, it felt great for me.
I read that you said that you don't ever want to demonize the perpetrator, but now if you look at recent news with the Bill Cosby case being thrown out of court, where he obviously molested and raped over 100 women, he's not going to get what he rightfully deserves. Justice will not take its course with him. How can you not demonize the perpetrator and be angry and want revenge?
Yeah, especially in the face of his frankness about it.
Yeah.
I actually value and appreciate the frankness, to be very honest. I think that there's all too much of let's pretend that it's something else and let's not be honest about it. I'm very grateful to him for being honest with me. I don't think many people receive that level of closure you know, from their perpetrators, as I was awarded. That's one part of the question. The other part of the question was, does he not receive his justice? Now, that word justice in itself has a very interesting connotation, because do you not think, just as an idea, yes, he should go to prison. That's one way, right? But in the world and society as it is today, let's talk, for example, okay, considering Bill Cosby now, about that gentleman, for example, who was hunting a lion a while ago, the dentist from the States, who eventually had to move his family. You know, that's the power of social media, and that's the power of society today. We actually, as individuals, have a voice. You don't have to be a famous person anymore. You don't have to be anybody spectacular. I mean, look at me, for goodness sake. Here I sit. You know, I'm your very average Joe what's-her-face with, you know, my own sort of issues that I deal with very little dress sense, and I eat too much. But here we sit. I can have a voice, you know, and I can actually have a powerful enough voice to raise awareness on something this big. Bill Cosby's voice has spoken loud enough. He doesn't need to go to a prison with metal bars. He is not going to be able to leave his front door for the rest of his life without the rest of the world looking at him through different eyes. And that in itself is prison.
It is true.
And that in itself is justice for his...
For somebody to molest you and abuse you for 10 years, they have to have some kind of hold and power over you. What did that not play into effect when you saw him again after all those years? Did you, was it not almost like a hypnotic, like just automatic falling into it?
Very much so. You know, in South Africa and Namibia, we have this bush, which is just so fantastic. We call it the Wachabiki-boom. You know, that one that's got some claws that go forward and some that go back. And when you go and you get caught in it, then you actually can't move. It felt very much like that. And it took all of my adult consciousness to sort of be able to go, this is what's happening, be very much within my power as a woman, and be very conscious as I was sitting there and very aware of every nuance and everything that was said. You've got to remember, though, there were two people that were sitting there. The one was a filmmaker who had shots that had to get in the bag, okay? And then there was this child who was trying to say goodbye to her dad, okay? It was all happening at the same time. And there were times that the camera was rolling, and there were times when the camera wasn't rolling. And when the camera wasn't rolling, it was kind of disgusting what was happening behind the scenes, okay? But I had to be conscious, is the only way I can put it, to not engage and allow him to actually take over me. And there were times where I felt myself slipping into that space. There absolutely were times. And particularly when I was driving back from Swakopmund back to South Africa, all my senses were saying, turn this car around, Dragan needs you, you have to go back and help him. And thank goodness I had my best friend sitting in the car with me who I was able to verbalize this, and she could talk me through it and go, keep driving, Lucy. You keep driving, I'm here sitting here, and we just keep driving. Because otherwise, that was my instinct, and it had to be conscious decision to actually not, you know.
Thank you so much. You're going to be on the couch with us more, and of course, we're going to have a discussion with the Executive Director of Jelly Beans as well.
I'm so glad we're having an open conversation about this. I'm sure you must have many questions, perhaps you have comments, or perhaps you have your own stories to share with us. 021-430-9881 is the number you can call. It'll be on your screen. So make sure you guys give us a call on that number. Our lines are open. We already take your calls, and we'll answer all your questions and your comments, and perhaps hear some of your stories after these.
Live scratch-free with new Head & Shoulders African Scalp Care.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're coming to you live on 3. Now, today on the show, we're tackling an issue that is rife in South Africa. Before the break, we shared the story of Lucy Witts, who was sexually abused by her stepfather for a number of years, and now she's sharing her story with the world through a documentary called Dragan's Lair.
While Lucy has shown incredible bravery in being open about her story, many South Africans suffer in silence, and we're joined now by social worker Edith Kriel, who is the executive director of Jelly Beans Inc., an organisation that helps and provides therapy to protect children who've been affected by trauma and abuse.
Welcome to the show, Edith.
Hi there.
Firstly, tell us a little bit about Jelly Beans, just to start off with, and how it came into being.
So Jelly Beans is a non-profit organisation, and we really aim to try and make a difference in the life of children who've experienced trauma and abuse. Most of the children that we work with are children who've experienced sexual abuse, because in our society there's still this kind of idea that sexual abuse is the worst of the worst. And sexual abuse is bad, but other forms of abuse are also bad. None of that should be happening to our children.
There isn't a kind of sliding scale of what's the bad, the worst, and what's the good.
And
That's all bad.
How do we decide when to describe it in terms of sexual abuse, sexual assault versus molestation and rape?
So those are different words that people use in the communities, but if we have a look at the law, we have the words sexual assault and we have the words rape. Molestation is sort of a social word that we have, and you and I might have different interpretations of what that might mean.
Yeah.
So for me, I think if we wanted to call something something, let's call it by its real name. So it is either rape or it is sexual assault, or an umbrella term would be sexual abuse. But molestation is kind of neither here nor there.
Just from a legal point of view, and I've been reading the newspapers lately, is there a different penalty if it happens to a little boy versus whether it happens to a little girl? And is it defined differently?
Not at all. So in our old Act, it used to be different. So it was gender specific, and it was, you know, different for girls and boys, and it's now gender neutral, our Act. So that says that a boy can be raped, a girl can be raped.
Okay, but that's a recent change, hey?
Well,
shockingly enough.
No, a good 10 years.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Good.
Yeah.
Wow. And I know as a parent, the first thing you think, and it's happening to me all the time, where I go, how do I know? How can I tell? And obviously the telltale signs differ as the children get older. Yeah. But what are the telltale signs that parents can look out for?
So I'd like to first compliment Lucy in terms of helping us understand how under the radar this stuff is. Yeah. So it would be lovely if I could give you 20 different symptoms, and if your child has 3 of them, best you rush off to the nearest social worker. The reality is most of our children are what we refer to as asymptomatic. They don't show symptoms because it's part of normal life. When we do have children that are maybe showing some kind of symptoms, the sort of things we'd be looking out for is if you've got a child who's very outgoing and happy and, you know, things are good, and suddenly, for some indescribable reason, they're becoming withdrawn, they may be more aggressive or depressed. So when there's a change in your child's behaviour, that's something really important to take note of. It doesn't equal sexual abuse, but it's saying something very important to a parent to say, notice what is going on. Ask questions.
Now, statistics also show that the majority of time that abuse and molestation is taking place, it's by somebody that the child knows.
Right.
Why is this the case, do you think?
Well, I think that's also quite interesting because a lot of the research that we're using is overseas research. So we do have, of course we do, you know, kind of 80% of the abuse that's happening to our children is perpetrated by people that children know and love. But we also have in our country a high rate of abuse, sexual abuse, perpetrated by strangers. Somebody walking down the road, grabs the child, you know, violates them, and then sends them off again. But by far the biggest amount is with people that are known to children. And the reason for that partly is because those are the children that are accessible to that person. Those are the children who, for some reason, they're able to connect with and develop a relationship with, which leaves the child in a position to be groomed.
What characteristics contribute to, as in the case that we saw earlier, the perpetrator having such a matter-of-fact approach to it and having such a warped reality of what happened in his mind versus what really took place between himself and Lucy?
I think we have to acknowledge that perpetrators or offenders are people too. And just as if I was driving through a red robot and the traffic cop pulls me over and says, ma'am, did you drive through a red robot? I might kind of go, no, officer, or I didn't notice, or it was just a little bit orange. perpetrators also have ways of trying to understand and accept themselves for the kind of abhorrent behavior that they have. Society says this is absolutely the worst of the worst.
Which is why conversations like this really need to happen. Just in closing, what did you want the power of your documentary to hold? What do you want the main effect to be?
It's before the show I was chatting with Edith, and Edith touched on exactly that. It's the pause moment that I talk about. For me, the most important thing is there are very important big things that need to happen, like we need to change the language we use, and we need to change the way in which we have conversations, and we actually need to have conversations.
Sure.
However, at that point of discovery, when you discover this has been happening in your home with your children, currently the immediate response and reaction is to immediately separate the perpetrator from the child. However, I'm just imploring with people to just take a moment and possibly just get some assistance before you do anything at all.
Exactly. I wish we had more time we should have spent a whole show with you. Thank you so much. We should have you again.
So grateful for you having this conversation with us. Thank you.
And thank you all so much at home for watching. Until tomorrow, we'll be back again on Afternoon Express on SABC3. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much to our guests. We'll see you tomorrow. Until then, good night and God bless.
Coming up tomorrow on Afternoon Express, sit back and relax as we chat to internationally renowned meditation and yoga expert Sister Jayanti of Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual University. So let go of your stress tomorrow, live at 4 p.m. on SABC3.
Another feel-good production.